Yes, it's me. It's me. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. English podcast with Paul. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Intro, all this stuff. Right, let's get straight down to it. You want to listen? You're not here for adverts and advertising, but this video is sponsored by me. And if you want to help out, then you can I don't know, you can hit that like and subscribe button. I hate when people do that. I really do. They ask you for something first before giving you something. Kind of weird, isn't it? That reciprocity situation. Anyway, right. So, apart from talking about adverts and sponsorship and stuff like that, we'll save that for another video. What I'd like to talk about today is projection of yourself. That might seem a weird topic. That might seem a bit difficult to get your head around. But how you project yourself in this world really is kind of how you want to think of yourself inside your head. All right, like in the Matrix, the vision of yourself that you project to the world through the screen and through what you decide to wear. All right, but not in the Matrix, in real life. In real life. So I've got several notes. So if you see me glancing down, that's why. But we'll go through the notes bit by bit, and then I'll tell you about myself. And then maybe you can ask about yourself. Are you truly aware of how you project yourself to the world? All right, but hold on to that thought. So let's turn up the music, turn up the sound. If you're driving, then focus on the road. If you're just relaxing in the house, then just tune your ears into my strange, weird voice that some people like, some people don't. Most of my ex-wives don't like it. Right. Projection of self. So, as I was discussing this in my head with myself, I was thinking, right, how do we actually project ourselves to the world? Well, the first part, I think, or the first thing we see when we look at somebody else, because that's kind of what it is, really. It's we look at other people and we try to work out who they are by what we see and what we hear. You know, the senses, the main senses of what you see and what you hear. It's specifically at the beginning anyway. So if you see somebody in the street, or if I see somebody in the street, I'll talk about me, because I like talking about me. No, it's because it's my perspective. I can't talk for you in your perspective. From my perspective, if I see a person in the street, especially a young person, and they're wearing jogging trousers, trainers, and a hoodie, but they're not doing any jogging, they're just hanging around with their friends, then I would be guessing, and not always accurate, I would be guessing that they're maybe on a low income and they don't have a lot going on in their lives apart from hanging around, smoking, and, just being a young person with nothing to do. And I always also put them in a financial bracket, and I'd probably put them in an education bracket as well. That's not correct, that's not polite, that's not good, but that's what we do for survival. We have to pigeonhole people to help our brain move forward, because we can't take in all the stimulation of everything we see all in one go. If you ever asked yourself how you got from A to B whilst driving and you don't remember half the journey, it's because you're in a bit of a trance. You know, you're focusing on where you're going, you're watching out for the road, but generally you don't see the colour of the house or what hat that person was wearing, because you're kind of in a bit of a trance state. And we have to do that to survive. Otherwise, we would have sensory overload. So we have to pigeonhole people to allow our lives to move on quickly. Otherwise, we get left behind. And that's quite often how old people feel. Everything is happening so fast. All right, so a young lad wearing a hoodie, trainers, smoking, hanging around with his friend, I would put into an education pigeonhole and a class pigeonhole. And then I would move up to, say, somebody that's wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Maybe they're a bit older. Maybe they're not working today. Maybe it's a Saturday. Maybe they're just enjoying being out with some friends. But again, I would put the pigeonhole them. I would pigeon them, hole them, categorize them for ease of use for my brain. As somebody maybe in an 18,000 pound or 18,000 euro bracket. All right, your average kind of worker, just your average blue collar worker. And the jogger before maybe 10,000. Maybe he's living at home. So we're going from 10,000 to 18,000. Now, if you go up to the next category, somebody that's wearing khakis, or as we say in UK, chinos, and maybe a shirt. Sometimes they might be wearing a jacket or a blazer over the top. Then I would say they're in a slightly more educated role. Maybe they're an office manager, or maybe they're a little bit more of a professional role. And maybe they're on sort of 25,000. And again, like I said, with their education, with their job, that's where I would pigeonhole that person. And then if we go up the next level, you'd see maybe somebody walking towards you in a cheap suit. Now I'm thinking here men mostly, because it's easier for me to visualize. So somebody in a cheap suit, you might think he's an estate agent or some kind of job where you have to wear a suit, but you're not making a lot of money. So maybe a young estate agent, something like that. Moving up then to a mid-range suit. I don't know exactly how to tell the difference. I think maybe a cheap suit would be shiny, polyester, and not very well fitting. That's what I can imagine. A mid-range suit, I imagine, is kind of tamer in colours and nicer fabrics. Probably, again, off the peg, as they say. Off the peg, out of the shop, and quite well fitting. And I would guess maybe that person is a higher up in the estate agents or a solicitor, that kind of thing. And then I guess you got expensive, tailor-made suit, maybe from like Savile Row. In that case, you'd think they're a high-powered business person, and they're on a lot more money. So yeah, going back to the finances, the man wearing khakis or chinos and a jacket, I would say was probably on 25,000. I said, yeah. And then a cheap suit, the young estate agent, maybe he's on 30,000. Mid-range suit, sort of 40, 45,000. And then 60, 70,000, maybe 100,000. And then you're looking at tailor-made suits, people that are earning and having a lot of money, sort of close to £1 million. Also makes it a little bit difficult if you're in a different place. So we'll get onto social settings in a moment, but if you think about if somebody's wearing yachting attire, clothes that you would associate with being on a yacht, that makes it a little bit more difficult to pigeonhole a person. But you can definitely assume they're not at college or in school. The same as if they're at the races, if they're at Ascot or one of the posh races in the UK on the calendar that maybe some of the royals go along to. That again would be difficult to categorize people. If you're in the know, if you're a stylist or if you're wealthy, then you probably got a good idea of what is an expensive outfit from Zara or some other boutique posh clothing outfitters. That's kind of out of my league. I don't know that kind of information. I don't find it interesting, apart from the sociology side of things. All right, so that's clothes. Clothes. Very big telltale sign of somebody's financial and education class. All right, moving on to the next bit would be posture. Posture is, again, a quick telltale of somebody's financial or educational background. Not always, but quite often. Somebody that's from royalty, for example, would have extremely good posture, or aristocracy, shall we say, would have extremely good posture. And their movements would be very gentle and purposeful. So posture is a good one. and also like you see this at restaurants as well. Okay, the next category is authority. What kind of authority does somebody command? Now that would depend on the setting. If you're at a royal garden party, then there would be a massive amount of authority, because you would know the host and you would know their connections and you would know their pedigree, and so you would immediately give them, a level of authority. They would have a level of authority, that you would give to them. Also, I guess if somebody has a lot of entourage, a big group of people around them, maybe a rapper, maybe he's earning millions and millions, and so he has an entourage of a stylist and security guards and things like this. Same with other celebrities. Their entourage kind of indicates not just their ego, but how well they're doing financially. And again, like I said, with the authority, the uniform, whether they're wearing a pilot's uniform and they're asking you for your cooperation, or whether it's a police officer or a security guard, that would also deem whether you deem that person to have authority over you and whether you want to comply. Okay, moving on to the next big one. Language. Now, that's very subjective, the term language. So in respect to that, I mean like terminology, their kind of education or their level of maturity, and also their narrative. What kind of story are they speaking about? Are they kind of like a victim? Oh, I had a really bad upbringing. I didn't stand a chance. Oh, I was, Are they grandiose? Are they with the idea that they're like Jesus or God, or they're above everybody else? Grandiose attitude. Or is it me, 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 me? Often that's covered up with you. All right. Oh, now me, 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 me. What kind of narrative, their language they use, whether they're using terminology, whether they're using things from their industry, because a lot of terminology and a lot of words are interchangeable over different industries. So, for example, the Navy and military, a lot of that language is pulled over into modern day language and often used in other industries. So birthing canal would be from the medical industry, is also used in nautical terms, bringing in a boat or a yacht, and then the dock, when you hand over authorization in the dock from one person to another person of things. The more you look into it, the more you'll be surprised at how much terminology is moved from industry to industry and interchangeable. So that can often be a telltale sign of somebody's education, financial background, using and listening to their type of language. Often it's easy to spot somebody that's young wearing a pair of hoodies, because there would be a lot of, what do we call it, omissions of letters, like, how you doing, alright, in it bruv, yeah, in it. They try to speak gangster, or they try to speak cool, and they cut out a lot of their words. Now on the flip side to that, right at the other end, aristocracy, they would use maybe a lot more humor and a lot more relaxed, casual conversation. Maybe they might say something like, ho, James would love that. Oh my goodness. Oh, James, you rotter. You absolute rotter. Ho. Wow. Play the game, oh boy. Play the game. That's the way, yes. Rather. Jolly good show. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Oh. So there's a completely different narrative, language, choice of words that really is a spectrum, and lots of different narratives and attitudes within that language. So that's just language. moving on to the next one would be gesticulation. Now, forgive me if I've said that wrong. Gesticulation, meaning how much you move your hands. Often speakers are trained, like Steve Jobs or other people on keynote speakers are trained to have their hands open and up and use it for size, meaning, it's gigantic, it's enormous, it's this big. We're going to change the world. Visionaries, in their speech will use their hands a lot. Often people of power and politics will also use their hands for holding their hands together, implying thought and power and those kind of ideas. So not just speech and not just language in general and gesticulating for the audience, but often people get caught up in excitement and they get animated. You'll often see comedians throwing their hands around, especially somebody like Lee Evans. They're very, very animated and excited, and that is projected in their hand movement and their body movement. Their whole body will be part of their language. And I guess that's something people learn in acting school, or drama school, about using your whole body to project a thought or an idea. So that's surprisingly a big clues to somebody's pigeonholing. Quite an interesting one. Okay. Penultimate, second to last, penultimate. The actions somebody takes. Whether they ask about you. Oh, okay. Yeah, tell me more. Do they listen intensely? Are their focus 100% on you? And can they regurgitate what you've said back to them? Maybe not verbatim, but maybe paraphrase what you said. Oh, so if I get this right, what you're telling me is you're not feeling heard and validated in the boardroom. You're not feeling like your voice is being listened to. Is that right? Am I on the right page? Are we on the right sound? Are we on the same page on the wavelength? And also, not just with their actions, but going back to language in respect to terminology, you might find people, to connect with people, this is just a little tip, right? A pro tip. If you know somebody is in a particular industry, if you use words from their industry, then you're much more likely to connect with them, and they might see you as being on the same wavelength and feel more connected to you. So, for example, if, I don't know, let's pick an industry. Engineering. Okay, so if somebody's in engineering and you need to build a rapport with them, maybe you're a salesman, you need to build a rapport so you can offer your services or your company's services, you would use terms and words that engineer would be familiar with. Like dialing into the details, zooming into the details, using the term for particular measuring equipment or specific tools that they might use. And using that in your language and that in your conversation will really help bond together. Okay, so that was just a pro tip. Actions. So actions, paraphrasing, listening intensely and asking about you. That is more connected to a person's maturity and their charm, and we'll get onto that now, and how they make you feel. What a person actually does other than just listen or just talk. Being connected, being engaged. These kind of things, as I'll move on to now, we'll look at the charisma, which is kind of like how you leave a person feeling. So if you've just walked away from a celebrity, a high-level celebrity, often they'll make you feel really warm and happy inside because they put the power and the emphasis all onto you. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. You should do more of that. You're really good at that. Yeah, I can see you in the future doing so well in that field. You're amazing. Wow, I really like you. You're a great person. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Trust me, I'm really serious. You are really good at that. You should do that more often. That would be your key thing. You're brilliant. Wow. If I'm going to need that service in the future, I'm going to get it from you. You're really good at that. All right? How you make the other person feel is one of the key aspects to charm and charisma. Whether they made you feel happy, whether they've made you feel good, or whether they made you feel a bit sad or a bit crappy. Maybe it was your boss and he's talking down to you. Maybe he's being negative about everything you do. He's being critiquing and criticizing, and it kind of feels personal. Maybe he's being condescending. That's never a good thing, is it? Or maybe they're just boring. Sometimes I'm boring. Sometimes I've run out of energy and I'm boring. But all these things give you the ability to help your brain pigeonhole somebody from a very quick and maybe, how would you say, like from the medulla. Is that right? From the lizard brain, your survival, you have to be able to decide whether this person is friend or foe. And so we pigeonhole people, whether or not they're safe, whether or not they're going to attack me, because the brain doesn't really understand between physical violence and verbal violence. It just kicks in with the adrenaline, ready to fight or flight. So that's probably the key things that go through my mind when I'm looking at somebody else. And there might be a lot more. So, the question I asked at the beginning, how would you pigeonhole yourself? Well, me, personally, now this is, again, coming back to fake it till you make it. And those kind of attitudes of how you can project what you want to be. All right, so if you are a young estate agent and you've got you saved up some money and now you've got a nice car, you can look like you're more than just a junior estate agent. You can look like you're the, I don't know, top salesperson in your estate agency firm. If you've got a really good quality suit and a nice car and your patter, your conversation is of high quality, then you're much more likely to deceive somebody into thinking you're higher level up the food chain in the estate agents than you actually are. So it can be beneficial to know and how to project what you want to project. Most celebrities and high-powered businessmen want to project power and authority and that they've achieved a certain thing. But then occasionally you get somebody that bucks the trend. So if you look at the Dalai Lama or Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Russell Brand, Jim Carrey, they're often people that realize that they're really comfortable in their skin and they don't need to project authority and power. They're just really comfortable being relaxed and calm in who they are. The super, super powerful men in this world, if you said Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, I forgot his name now. The man that's behind Windows, Bill Gates. All these people, they kind of wear clothes that are a little bit, quite a bit lower than their average social standing. They might wear jeans and trousers, or on a weekend, and then during the weekday they might wear either a regular suit, maybe a lower end suit, or they might wear khakis and a jacket and a blazer where they feel comfortable. So going back to me, this is why I talk about fake it till you make it, or projecting what you want to project. If you're comfortable in yourself, I am quite comfortable. In fact, before living in vans, my last vehicle was a smart car. When I was younger, I had big, powerful cars, big 2-3 litre engine cars, but I matured past that and realised I don't need to project power. So my last 2 cars were the little tiny 2-seater smart car, because that's all I needed. I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm quite comfortable in who I am. So what I project at the moment is I kind of project a school teacher vibe, for want of a better word. That's kind of what I project. I constantly try to educate myself with more interesting books, not just to keep me entertained, but to grow as a person. So hopefully my education level is growing. I try to wear clothes that make me feel comfortable, but also accepted in multiple situations. So I feel comfortable of who I'm projecting, but I'm also striving to improve myself in regards to many different aspects of my life. So that's me. That's me. Pretending to be a school teacher. I suppose I kind of am a teacher in a way. There are a few things I teach. But what about you? It's not all about me. What about you? What are you projecting? What do you wear? How is your language? Do you speak slowly, like King Charles? Hello? It's a pleasure to be here. That was a terrible impression. Sorry. Take that back. Pretend you didn't hear that. Rewind. You didn't hear that bad impression. But who are you? Are you very animated and excited? Because those people are often looked down upon in the UK. Like they have ADHD and they can't control themselves. And lots of people in the UK kind of aspire to be more like aristocracy. Whether we want to or not, it's kind of in our culture that we want to try and aspire to be better than we are. I don't know if that was something ingrained. What's in your culture? What do you aspire to be in your culture? Are you told to improve your education, improve your physical health, improve your mental health? What kind of things are ingrained in your culture to try and improve yourself? Or not? Is it in your culture just to relax and be who you are? Is it your culture just to accept everybody for who they want to be? So how do you project your clothes, your entourage, your identity? I'd be interested to find out. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. All right, that's it for this one. If you got any use from it, then yeah, go on, hit that subscribe button. You know, I love you guys. You know I do. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.